Let's talk a little bit about the attachment styles. Thank you for joining me again. It is so great to have you on this course. I love knowing that people are working on their healing, not only to understand their partners or the people in their lives who are important, but you're working on yourself, and that is commendable. Now, one of the things that I've noticed in my coaching practice is that the people who take copious notes are the ones who move through life easier, faster, and the healing is a lot more powerful than those who tend to just listen. You want to take notes because when you don't have the time to come back to this course, you can always flip through your notes and you'll be reminded of the steps that you need to take. A lot of these exercises at the end of every course, I'm going to give you a few exercises to do, and most of them are awareness exercises. Taking notes as I speak is incredibly important. And I'm also going to make sure that there is a write-up on everything that we talk about at the end or in a PDF format. Now, let's talk a little bit about the attachment styles. There are 4 of them. We have the anxious attachment, we have a fearful avoidant, we have a dismissive avoidant, and we have a secure attached style. Let's talk a little bit about each one of them. First, we want to remember that attachment styles are developed in our childhood. And generally, by the way we have perceived experiences with our caregivers. Now, let's talk a little bit about the secure attached style. A secure attached style person is someone who is a very effective communicator. They are comfortable with intimacy. They are comfortable with being vulnerable. They trust people. They also trust themselves. They are very respectful, kind, compassionate. They're great listeners, which is a part of effective communicating. Communication is something that we'll address later on in the courses, because that is very important when we're healing our attachment style. Now let's talk a little bit about someone who's got an anxious attachment style. They may appear to be needy and clingy. They tend to need validation. They're afraid of being abandoned. And most of us with unhealed wounds are afraid of being abandoned. But for someone with an anxious attachment style, when they fear that their partner is pulling away from them, it's very difficult for them to self-regulate. So they may reach out to pull their partner back in. And that's something, if they're dating someone who's got an avoidant attachment style, that can scare an avoidant attached person. And so they withdraw even more, which brings us to talking about the avoidant and the fearful avoidant and the dismissive avoidant attached style person. Now, let's talk about the fearful avoidant first. They want to be close with someone. They want a long-lasting relationship, but their fear of intimacy, their fear of vulnerability, their fear of losing their independence and autonomy prevents them from embracing a relationship. And so, while they may start to get close to someone, the moment they start to feel like more is expected of them, they start to self-sabotage and start to withdraw. Someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style, they've got all of that of the fearful avoidant attachment style, except they do not believe that they need or should even want an intimate relationship. They are also afraid of losing their independence and autonomy. Now, we all want to move into a more secure attached space. Because of the way we've perceived our childhood with our caregivers, we may not all be of a secure attached style. In fact, we're not. That's why we're doing this course, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about how they were developed, how these attachment styles were developed. Someone with a secure attachment style, they have had caregivers who were consistent, who were attentive, who were attuned to their emotional needs. So they showed up and they were supportive and they respected their young. Someone with an anxious attachment style might have had caregivers who were not consistent, who were not very responsive, who did not make them feel seen or heard or valued. So they were always grappling for attention. Someone with an avoidant attachment style perhaps did not have the caregivers who were attentive to their needs. And so they learned how to self-soothe. They learned how to be independent. Those caregivers might have been neglectful of their emotional needs. Now, as I say this, I like to remind us that our caregivers were human beings just like us, struggling. The advantage that we have today is that we have tools, the knowledge available to help us to heal and grow. Many of us, we have caregivers who struggled. They carried generational trauma, traditional beliefs and behaviors. You know, their parents acted a certain way, so they continued a certain way, and then they tried to pass it on to us. And if we can be honest with ourselves, we acted in ways in the past that we're not really proud of. That we could look at and we could say, oh, my dad behaved this way, and my mom did this, and I want to change it because that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for my relationships. If you have children like me, it doesn't work for our children. And so we're trying to heal. So in appreciating the struggles of our caregivers, perhaps we can empathize and forgive them, and now set the boundaries with ourselves and with them. If they're still in our lives and their behavior is still the same, we could set our boundaries and say, okay, this does not work anymore. Now, one of the exercises that I'd like for you to do is I would like for you to pull up the PDF that's available here. It's probably below. And it's going to list traits of each attachment style. And I want you to look at them carefully and see if you recognize yourself in one more than the other. Now, it's possible the fearful avoidant attachment style is a combination of a dismissive avoidant and an anxious attached. We all have traits of the different attachment styles, but we're looking for the attachment style where we see most of the traits. And we may tend to think, I've read this, I've heard of it, where people say, oh, well, I'm secure in my friendships, or I'm secure at work. As these courses continue, I'm going to be able to show you that that's not quite true. If we are not confident in speaking up with the person that we love, with our parents, then we're not going to be that confident in speaking up with our friends when they do something that offends us, that hurts us, that makes us feel disrespected. If we're not confident with the people we love, we may not be confident in asking for that raise at work. So we want to look at how attachment styles affect us in every area. So your only homework for this particular course is to sit with all of the attachment styles, the characteristics of all the attachment styles, and see where you believe you fit in best. What you also want to do when you're done with that is look for the characteristics of the people that you have dated in the past. Leave a comment. Let me know what you believe your attachment style is, and let me know what you think of this first lesson. I'll see you next time.